What is going on YouTube? June here, and I'm back again with another Idols Heroes video. Today we're going to be tackling the question, the hot topic of the day. It is, what do I do with my magic stone swords? What should I grab? What should I swap for? What's useful? What's not useful? Should I even be swapping? So we'll go through all the details, the nitty-gritties, and try to help you make that decision. We only have a handful of days before the event comes to a close. So for those that have waited this long, I got you. Hopefully I can help you out. The first question that we need to ask ourselves is Magic Stone Sword even useful anymore? And I think the short answer is no. With Cheese leaving the meta, with the readjustments, the nerfs to the Vortex where it found a lot of use, it seems like Magic Stone Sword currently, as of today, as of this recording, there isn't going to be much use. But what's interesting to note is potentially the use of it down the road, right? So if it's not useful today, is it going to be useful moving forward? Now, I think the argument is there's two game modes that I feel where it could actually become useful, or at least be used sometimes to help you with a problematic situation, and that is going to be depth 2 of the Tower of Dreams or depth 3. So the tower, we still have some unknown content that's yet to be released over the next 2 weeks, so that is where it can be used, as well as Realms Gate, Void Corruption 100 plus, so farming that content there. I personally haven't tested or done anything in the Realms Gate. I look forward to doing it, but from what I've heard, it's possible that a Magic Stone Sword could really help a hero like Eloise just survive a little bit longer to finish off a certain enemy. So those are two things to consider, but as of today, as of right now, there is no like standout hero that uses a Magic Stone Sword to do and clear content. So with those two questions out of the way, I think we need to get into the broad categories of the player base that are going to require pay-to-win artifacts to clear content. Now, my approach for this game has always been PvE centric. I think this game is fundamentally about building resource engines, and those resource engines that you create by finishing PvE content will give you the stuff needed to make heroes, and then you use those heroes to clear more content, and it's kind of just like it gets easier the more PvE content you clear. So I've always found the most fun focusing on PvE and clearing PvE content, so my suggestions are going to be filtered through that perspective, so just keep that in mind. The categories of players that we probably want to talk about are like the early to mid game players, and those people are going to be focusing on things like Sealand, Broken Spaces, maybe guild bosses, but specifically Aspen Dungeon and the Tower, like getting it all the way up to 650, right? For those players, you're going to need an energy artifact such as a Demon Bell. Magic Source can work, but Demon Bell, and a damage artifact like a Punisher Staff of Immortals. And I will mention on the side, the honorable mention is going to be Kiss of Ghost. Kiss of Ghost upgraded is really good in Sealand, so it's not to be discounted, but I think your primary focus needs to be on giving energy to your team if you can, or to certain heroes that have a really impactful active through a Demon Bell or a Magic Source, as well as putting damage artifacts on your main DPS or the handful of DPSs that you do have access to, which is going to be Punisher. The second category of player is going to be people that have kind of transitioned away from that, and that's going to be the mid game, maybe the late game players, and those players are going to be focused on Void Vortex. And as of today, Void Vortex seems like a situation where you do need 8 Demon Bells as well as 4 Punishers. That's pretty much like the goal that you want to get to. So anything that helps along the way to get there, as far as picking up another Demon Bell or a handful more Demon Bells and finishing off your Splendid Punisher, I think is a really good decision to make. I will give an honorable mention in this category as well, and that is going to be the Rui Scepter. Rui Scepter is really good on heroes like Sherlock. I will be releasing a video sometime soon showcasing Sherlock on 3 separate accounts and how I did in the Vortex using him to great effect. Because they did nerf Vortex, it's a lot easier to CC your enemies now, so my Sherlock was able to do very well. That is to say that Sherlock is a lot more useful now in Vortex, but he is a hero that can use Rui Scepter. But just an honorable mention because he isn't required at all, it's just nice to have it. It will make your time in the Vortex a little bit easier. And I will add to this, Rui Scepter is at the core of what is being used currently with Starwing Jara. Her kit works very well because it's CC based, and Rui Scepter is a CC based artifact, so there's great synergy there. They're going to find a lot of success building towards a Rui Scepter, so just an honorable mention there for the heroes that can use Rui Scepter. The third category is going to be people that are more focused on PvP. So the PvP aspects of the game right now, as it stands, the end game, the landscape looks like super sustain, tanky, healy teams, and in that situation you're going to want crowns. So if you're focusing more on PvP and that's how you find enjoyment in the game, don't let me stop you. Grab crowns, you'll have a good time, because people that are grabbing demon bells and punishers for all the other content to get progress there are going to be using that in PvP. So you're going to be facing probably a little bit more demon bell feeds and energy feed teams based off of round 1 actives and trying to kill everything quickly. So if you're the type of player that wants to do a little bit better or is focused more on PvP, my suggestion would be grabbing crowns, because those are good. Obviously you can still use demon bells and punishers there as well, as I just mentioned. It's really good if you've never experienced it. It's just you're doing round 1 actives and you're technically killing half of the enemy team before they even have a chance to set up their round 2 with their actives. So definitely worth mentioning, demon bells and punishers still works there. So essentially what's happening here is demon bells and punishers are going to be very sought after because they have just more coverage. They're just going to be used in more game modes relative to the other pay to win artifacts available. So I would highly recommend people grab either of them and just figure out what game mode you're trying to tackle and which ones you need to get together. And obviously 8 demon bells can take you longer than 4 punishers. A lot of people have probably started working on their punishers because ticks used to be really important for Aspen Dungeon and punisher was used on him there. It was also used on him there for void vortex clears. So a lot of people probably have their punishers together, so it's a good time to get the demon bells set up so you'll have an easier time pushing further into the vortex, and also use it for PvP. And one last point I want to make about this is a little bit more big picture, and I think it's worth mentioning here because it just has to do with the game design and idle heroes in general. So gacha games are going to thrive off creating this feeling, this state of FOMO, this fear of missing out, and this feeling of regret, right? Once you have FOMO and regret, you're going to be highly incentivized to spend money to regain progress or to feel like you're part of the meta. Right? It's designed that way, and that's why we don't have full information. That's why leaks don't happen to the last minute. That's why we only have like a roadmap for the next week for events. The less information we have as a player base, the easier it is for the devs to throw a curveball at us, and we get curveballs thrown at us and we have the option to buy a solution, you're more likely to spend. So just keep that in mind. Even though you may think you have all the information available to you this week and you're like, I'm going to make the best decision possible, I'm going to swap this MSS for this and it's going to be great, it could switch. When Tower opens up this weekend for Depth 2, maybe you need a Magic Stone Sword, right? You're going to get to Realms Gate Void Corruption 100 by the end of the month. Maybe you need a Magic Stone Sword, or maybe you need another artifact, right? So just keep that in mind. The meta will always shift, and know that if you're making a decision this week before reset and you are swapping Magic Stone Sword for something, if you have a clear goal, you can't really have much regret, right? You're getting this for a specific reason, and you just got to be content that if another cheaper solution comes around, it is what it is. You just got to take it on the chin and just clear that content, and then maybe start building up whatever the next artifact is that's going to help you clear a certain content that DH Games decides to release. So that's just something to keep in mind, and hopefully you guys found this information useful. I'm going to personally wait till Thursday probably, because we have one more Vortex that's going to open up before the event expires for the swap event. So try to get as much information as possible. That's always how I approach the game. I don't like to be the first person to do something when it comes to stuff like this. I want to get as much information from Discord, from Reddit, from the stream, pull the trigger when I know that, okay, I have got a clear goal. I think this is going to help me get to that goal. Let's get this artifact going. So hopefully you guys found this useful, and as always, thank you so much for checking out my video. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.